Welcome back to Finance Unplugged. Today's guest has guided over 40,000 students in finding their true calling. He's the director at Career Launcher, a renowned career counselor, and a communication coach who's helped countless young minds identify their strengths and build meaningful careers. Mr. Vinay Modi, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us. Thank you for joining.
Pleasure is mine as well. Thanks a lot for inviting me. I really appreciate your effort.
I'm really excited for this conversation, and I know for a fact so is the person who's listening to us right now. For that very person, can you share what they stand to gain from what you're going to share about careers in finance?
So I'm presuming that I'm going to interact with young mind students who are in school, primarily young professionals or those who want to be wish to be
Yeah.
excelling in their life. That's what my presumption is. My interaction with students has been a long one, as you rightly pointed out. It has been almost like 2 decades now. And I have seen tremendous change in the way students are evolving and manifesting themselves. Not just in terms of skills, but in terms of their priorities, in terms of their career choices. Now, there are a lot of positives and there are certain negatives as well. To begin with positives, today's generation, young mind, they are quick, more exposed, more ambitious, I would say. But at the same time, they are slightly impatient, restless, and they lack detail orientation. That's the real challenge, because there is a saying, God always lies in detail. So if you wish to, and your God has to be perfect, your God has to be excellence in career, in life. That's your God. In my belief, young people, their God transcends beyond mythological, characters. Your God has to be success, excellence, and happiness in career. That's important. So what I wish to talk about is, I want to talk about the ground realities of making a right career choice. I also wish to explore the paths towards becoming a powerful finance professional in the future. Because what I have realized is that people really talk a lot about the destination. People talk about finance as a career, or they want to be a CFA or a CA or a CFO. That's the ultimate destination. I don't have any problem with that. But ironically, people lack the path.
That's a great start for what we're going to speak about next. But first, I want to hear from you. Can you share with us what made you want to pursue this career path and what initially drew you into career counseling?
So I think this might help a lot of young people when they hear about my journey, they will realize that there are so many opportunities and there is always a chance for people who want to excel in life. And there is nothing called as early start, or there is nothing called as predetermined success. So to cut it short, I am a classic example of serendipity. Serendipity in English means something that happens by chance. It does not happen by choice. So I am today a career counselor, a mentor, a teacher, honestly, partly by chance, I'll tell you. So my background is, I come from a family where my father is a bureaucrat, is a retired civil service professional. And like every parent would be willing initially, he wanted me to become a civil service professional. But very soon he realized that there's no point in pressing me hard. I was a die-hard sports fan. So I was into sports, but never excelled at any level. My life is all about sustaining something which is called as, a path between mediocrity and sustenance. Always. Okay, so he never pushed me into it. I am a BSc bio graduate. I took science bio in my school days. We used to have class 11th only, no 12th, and then graduation. I took my science and I could not become a doctor because I never was focused into it. I don't know why I picked up science. Then I left science after graduation. I chose law from Jodhpur University, which is right now called as NLU. 6 months I left that also. And after that, my father, for the first time, he put his foot down and he said, go for MA Economics. I took MA Economics, did reasonably well in MA Economics, and then chose the road widely traveled then without any thought process. MBA as a career. I did my specialization in sales and marketing, worked with a company in Mumbai for 3 years, left that job without any security, came back to Jaipur, and after a few trial and errors, I got into construction for 2 years. I mean, it is so crazy. I mean, if you look at, the right word is chaos, total chaos in my life. But then teaching happened by chance. something pushed me into teaching. My brother-in-law motivated me to go for a business setup wherein I would have to teach. And I chose teaching as a career by chance. I never thought that I'll really enjoy it as much. But that journey has now been almost like 19 years. I've been a trainer and a mentor. While training and mentoring students who wanted to go for CAT, Management Entrance Exam, the widely acclaimed exam in India, I became a CAT trainer, a language trainer. I realized that students who come to me don't have so much of clarity. That's one. They go for MBA as a career without knowing what MBA entails. Second, majority of the students I saw had drooping shoulder because 12th in India would be primarily either CA or doctor or engineer or civil service, which was again a road less traveled. And if you don't become any of these four, then you are nobody. So I realized that I'm good at mentoring and possibly motivating them. So there I realized that I should become a career counselor. So I'm a MBTI certified career counselor. I do psychometric evaluation and I talk to students. My USP is powerful conversations. That's what I do.
That makes so much sense. Trying, failing, and then trying and then succeeding finally. That makes so much sense. Also, having worked with so many students, why is career counseling so important? Why does it make such a difference?
That's a very good question because there are two ways of looking at it. One, in India, career counseling essentially means choosing specialization or a career direction. That is what majority of this, people think. But that is not what it is. Career counseling to me is a revelation. It's a moment of truth. It's an enlightenment because when you go for career counseling, a good career counselor ends up diagnosing your personality. I've realized most time when I do career counseling and parents are there, I realize so many challenges that students and parents and their parents have within each other. There's such a huge communication gap. They don't understand the personalities. Neither do kids understand personalities of their parents, and nor parents understand. So career counseling essentially is diagnosing personality. For example, I'll give you an example, Arav. In India, I'm sure you'll agree, there is a stereotype about introverts. Every parent wishes that their child becomes extrovert. They want them to have no stage fear. They want them to talk endlessly. They want them to be a social butterfly. But that's not what individuals are, meant to do. I must tell you, I discovered this while learning the nuances of career counseling that introvert is a gift of God. If you're introvert, the world has witnessed best programmers, best coders, best musicians, best composers, best novelists and authors because they are introverts. And nobody could change their destiny. Like in India, it happens. I'm sure you must have also experienced somewhere in your life. Sometimes people would say, "Oh, why don't you reach out to more people? You are not wired. So there's something wrong with you." So career counseling essentially helps you diagnose who you are. And then my job is to counsel parents and let them know that introvert is the best thing that has happened to your child. Now our job is to identify what suits his personality, not what is in vogue. That is one. People always talk about the finale, the end, but most of them don't have the idea about the process. For example, your contemporary, your peer group, when you talk about career choices with them, most of them talk about possibly they want to go abroad or they want to be in India. That's one. Second, they will talk about bigger career. I want to do MBA. I want to open up my startup. I want to get into, let's say, engineering. They rarely talk about what does the career entail. What is it all about? For example, if you go for engineering as a career, for God's sake, discover what is going to be happening in 4 years. What choices will be there? Second, career choice is one thing, but the ecosystem of your personality is more important. Vital skills which really go unnoticed in school time are the ones which will make all the difference. So when I actually do counseling, I talk about those vital skills, and then you will be surprised. You will agree with me that there are so many students, they have no clue of what's happening in the world. They have no clue of their language can really shape up their career, how their personality can manifest them into a powerful individual. So career counseling is important because the sooner
Right.
it happens, the better it is. When I say sooner, post class 9, when you transcend 14 years, you go to a professional career counselor And I would say, Arav, it's the biggest investment that a parent can actually make into a child's life. It's the best gift if you get somebody who can mentor you and who can guide you into shaping yourself. Nothing like it. That is why I believe career counseling is important. I told you that I spent 6 7 years discovering as to what can I do after graduation. When I look back, I could have saved those years. I could have added more value to students. Had somebody told me initially only that don't really, go through this jigsaw puzzle, get into teaching, get into mentoring. You are meant for that. So I actually took that. My learning curve is 7 years, higher than normally it would be.
I think that's really useful. I want to hear more about the clash between parents and students, but first, I want to know how can somebody identify if finance is right for them when they understand what their personality looks like, when they understand what their strengths look like.
That's a good question, very good question. So let me give you certain thumb rules. Since we are not here to explore scientific nuances,
Yeah.
I'll give you thumb rules of how you decide that yes, finance can be your career. The first thumb rule is you are an individual who has certain innate liking, drive, inclination towards knowing more about nuances related to business, stocks, economy. You like those conversations when your parents are discussing. You enjoy those conversations when they say the economy is going through that phase, when you say that the rupee is getting pressurized more, when you say that Trump, imposing heavy tariffs change the world, and then you listen, okay, how it is going to change. That's one. That's the first trigger, that you enjoy terms like expenditure, revenue, top line, bottom line, deficit, depreciation, market capitalization, you know, that's one. Second, you have better logical and analytical skills. Now, how do you identify those? Well, you're good at number crunching. You have to be slightly better than other people in terms of number crunching. That is second. Third, you also need to align your personality with various choices in finance. There are a lot of myths about finance. People think finance is all about stock market, corporate finance, international finance. No, there are a lot of nuances. Nowadays, there is two dimensions which have been added: technology and sales and marketing as well. There's something called as financial marketing. You can get into financial marketing. You can get into fintech. You can actually combine technology and finance. So the second trait is number crunching, logical and analytical skills. The first is genuine interest towards business, stock market, economies. Third, which is very important, your capability, which a lot of people don't talk about. If you are looking at, because finance has many layers, there is high end finance, which is investment banking, which is equity research, and then you have finance which is towards driven by corporates, and then at consumer level. If you are looking at a high end finance orientation like financial consultancy or investment banking or equities research, or maybe a startup in future in finance, then you need to really have the capacity to sit at a stretch for long, to be able to give more hours in whatever you do. And that is where I would say a big differentiator is today's generation is lacking that big determinant. They don't get to sit at one place for long. Why am I saying that? Because there's something called as geographical time zones. When you become a global finance professional, your arena or domain is not just India. You will have different markets like Singapore, like London, like New York. And unless you have the capacity to sit for long and be as focused as you were when you started, you will not be able to make any headway. That is where that is where finance professionals do not have a long term gestation. They become CFOs by the age of 28, 29 because they really enjoy those 10 years. And last but not the least, the fourth trait, Arav, is academic orientation is very important. You need to be slightly better in terms of your academic grade. You can't be a mediocre student and still expect yourself to be excelling in the field of finance. These four traits are very important. And then the second layer is find out what the career is all about. Explore. It's an unending ocean.
Love that. I think that resonates with me as well. beyond just, numbers, how even understanding what you like in a dinner conversation can make such a difference. Now, shifting gears a little bit, you've guided so many people in finance, you know what the domain of finance is all about. Can you tell me about some misconceptions in the field of finance and what people can do to clarify these?
The first misconception, which I told you straight away, is finance is all about numbers and maths only. It is not. I am a prime example. I am a BSc bio graduate because I hated numbers honestly in my school days. I was scared of numbers. I did not go for maths as a career, so I went for bio. Bio was elimination, not a choice for me. A lot of people go for bio as a career because they want to be a doctor. I was slightly confused and more driven by what society wanted me to do. I took science because science was hep at that time, and I took bio because bio was safer. But much to my surprise, I discovered when went for MA economics, I realized that I am not bad at understanding numbers. So that is first myth. You don't have to be a mathematical genius. That's first. Second, finance will be a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 or 9 to 7 job. No, it will not be. Finance is going to be a 9 to 9 career. 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. It's not 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Mind my words. It's that volatile and it is that intriguing a career. So if you are really looking forward to excel in the field of finance, you need to be slightly more driven by the idea that it is very dynamic because global financial pressures are very different. Third, the biggest myth is that people think that finance is about mathematical modeling, stocks, corporate finance, taxation. It is about that. But more importantly, if you wish to be a great finance professional, learn to understand human psyche, festivities, festivals, how people behave in different parts of the world. It is very important. The legendary Warren Buffett always talks about this, that he became a great finance professional. Junjunwala became a great finance professional, not because they were good at understanding stocks, but they were good at understanding human psyche, human behavior. A lot of people think only marketing, only human resource management is about managing people. Not at all. You wish to be a good finance professional, you should know how to lead a team, how to communicate with them. You should know, for example, I'll give you an example in India. India is a land of festivity. Now, if you don't understand diverse festivals, how will you be a good investor? So these are three myths. The fourth one is finance offers more money as a professional. I must tell you, this is the biggest myth in India. Any career which you choose, and if you really are absolutely sure of what you're getting into, you will make mullah money. Only finance is that. For example, teaching as a career. There is a stereotype in India that teaching has a limited career opportunity. Not at all. If you are passionate about teaching, you extend and expand that career. Or become a trainer. You become a global level trainer. You become a global level coach, and you make as much money as you want to. So these are certain myths about finance as a career.
That's really useful again because I've seen so many people being like, oh, I can't do finance because I'm not good at math. So that really busts that myth. Now, you also train people in
True.
communication. And how important do you think it is in terms of, say, networking for careers in finance? And what is one thing that people should do to improve their communication?
That's again a very powerful question. I'm really impressed. Good question. There are so many myths about communication as a student. First of all, I must tell you, communication is not about being a powerful speaker only. There are certain nuances about learning the art of communication. And if one trait that young students should develop in themselves is powerful communication. I believe as a finance professional, and why I restrict this to finance. You see, this transcends all domain. Let's try to dissect this question. Why people go for elite colleges as their career destination in the world? Why people dream of joining Harvard? Why people dream of joining IIM Ahmedabad? Why people wish to be at AIMS? Apart from all the reasons, one of the biggest reasons is networking, alumni network. You are part of such a big chain. Now, communication is such a powerful idea. You need to learn communication at four different levels as a student. One, You need to reach out to people and establish rapport with them in a manner that it will be a reciprocal advantage to both the people. Always remember, no senior will really respect you or will possibly exchange his or her credentials with you unless they see the element of value addition in you. You need to be good enough to be able to have long lasting networking capability. So, as a student, your behavior, your deportment, your conduct, your character is very important, which today's generation does not realize. They actually get swayed by looking at the atmosphere around them. They don't realize the repercussions of their actions, their conduct, even on social media platform. Because once you post a photograph or a video or any conversation which is a casual one, it gets embedded in lifetime everywhere. Don't forget that. And as a potential recruiter, I must tell you, when I am going to scan an employee, I will first of all trace that person's character, behavior, deportment right from the time that he or she got into social media. So that's very important. Second, in order to be a good communicator, the first ingredient of being a good communicator is not the idea of speaking, it's the idea of absorbing. Absorb as much as possible, read as much as possible, know what's happening in the world. So it's the reading part. Reading leads to writing, writing leads to listening, and listening leads to speaking. That's vital communication for me. If you lack any of these ingredients, you are lacking the power of communication. And that is where a lot of people ask me, what is the biggest challenge nowadays in terms of young people? My orientation and my submission is check yourself on these four fundamentals, and if you find that you're lacking anywhere, introspect and change. This is the best time. I'm so glad that you invited me, because I believe young kids are listening to me or watching, or I know you well, so I know you tick so many boxes. But there are certain boxes that you would also like to tick possibly in future. So this is what I think is very important. As a finance professional, so many people have great ideas. So many people are buzzing with ideas that, okay, this company can be purchased, this company, this stock should be sold, this should. It's the power of communication. I would say if you want to be a great professional, finance oriented individual, first and foremost, develop the energy level, develop the capacity to galvanize more people. That's important.
I have just one last question for you. Can you give one last piece of advice for everybody who's listening?
So there are two, three things. One, my advice to young people is that learn to strike a balance between what is new and what is perceived to be old. It's very important. I would say, yes, be exposed to technology, be exposed to social media, be exposed to contemporary world. What's wrong? It's good. It's good because you are the people who can create magic out of it. Because what the previous generation is lacking, you people have that advantage. But balance it out with organic evolution. When I say organic evolution, learn to be balanced. I told you on social media, don't get carried away. One. Second, learn to read organically. Read novels, read newspapers. Don't download apps all the time. Because when you download too many apps and you go through that content, you end up aping only. And you know the difference between westernization and modernization. People chase westernization blindly instead of modernizing. So you want to modernize yourself, balance. That's one. Second, the time starts now. You passed class ninth. This is to all the professionals. Your time has started. People are very proactive. People are creating, empires when they are 16, 17, 18. That time is gone where people would say, no, no, I'll do my graduation and then I will think of. No, no, no. You have to take the first step. So start doing it. Invest in introspecting. Self-awareness is important. Be aware about who you are, what you want to do, what your strengths and weaknesses are, where do you want to go. And don't just go on nomenclature. Invest in digging. Dig a lot. What is the career? Why is it important? That's important. And third, I would say You are the best entity on the planet. Yeah, this generation is so blessed. It is so talented. This generation has so much to give to the world. Only thing is, they should not be a misguided missile. They have to be more focused.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. I know me and also the listeners, there's so much that we can take back from here. There's so much that we can learn from here. It's been a pleasure having you here with us.
Thank you so much, Arav. And I must add, I am always willing to reach out to people to help them. You can share my email ID and my phone number to them. Anybody who's a listener, 9828117755 is my number. You can put my email ID also, that's one. And I would urge young minds to develop these powerful life skills. General awareness, command over words, capacity to speak and enthuse, so many people in one possibly conversation, be driven by what's happening in the world, especially in the field of business and finance. And last but not the least, knowing you well, be rooted, be humble. Success may be temporary, but your class, your values will always be permanent. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.